In one of my most recent videos, you guys left me a lot of nasty comments. In that video, I showed you all the problems that can arise when building a simple frame, like bad saw cuts, warped work surfaces, and human error. To help solve and find some of these problems, I suggested a fixture table. And here's where things get juicy. I got comments like, fixture tables aren't worth the money. You don't need a fancy welding table. It's only 4 pieces of metal. How hard can making a box be? And of course my favorite, if you have enough experience, you don't need a fancy fixture table. After reading these comments, this gave me a wonderful idea. Let's find out if more experience really is all you need. So, I went undercover and hired 3 fab shops. All 3 fab shops did not know who I was or what I was up to. Fab shops that I hired are all different sizes, ranging from one man working out of a small garage to the large facility with lots of manpower and tools and equipment. I presented the fab shops with the same set of plans that I used in the previous video. What I need is 2 matched simple box frames constructed from 2x2 square tubing with fairly tight tolerances that we'll talk about a little bit later. There's a few things that I'm looking for, like how much time will it take? How much will it cost? And most importantly, how accurate will these frames be when they come back? So let's get started. First thing, all of these shops I'm going to keep anonymous. I want things to be fair. So let's look at shop A. I asked the small one-man shop if he could build me the 2 frames.
Oh, yeah, it's all possible. Yeah, we're not miking it or anything, but yeah, I mean, we can get that, and we can get this thickness here.
I also asked what table he's using.
Yeah, I got a steel table. You clamp it down, get it square, bring it around, and then you gotta weld it up so it stays clamped, and so you don't warp it.
With 40 years of welding and fabricating experience, I left his shop confident that he was going to be able to make me what I wanted. The next stop was Fab Shop B. They're a little bit bigger. I asked them what kind of tools they were going to use to build my frames.
Yeah, we just got a bunch of welders out there, and saws and grinders, and bring in the tube, cut it, and weld it at the corners. Yeah, easy enough.
They left me pretty confident they were going to be able to make me what I wanted too. Last but not least is the largest, Fab Shop C. I asked them if they can make my frames.
Sure, that's easy. Then set this up on a jig and cut the miters, weld it up. All the welding's done to D11 spec. It's got an inspection report that goes with it, and all of this is all nice. You're not gonna get junk.
Leaving all 3 fab shops with my plans accepted, I was confident they were going to be able to make me what I wanted. While we wait for the frames to be made, let's talk about how these frames will be judged. The first thing is that they need to be made to the correct dimension. In this case, it's 20 inches by 20 1/4 maximum, but they can be undersized up to a 1/16 of an inch. I'm also looking for 90-degree corners, so a parallelogram just won't work here. So I'll be making a quick check system by creating a box with precise measurements. I'm going to set up the Fireball fixture table and use the dimensions off of my drawing. A series of fence blocks will set the constraints that the welder's frames will have to fit in. If it's too big, it won't even fit. If it's too small, my 1/16 of an inch shim will be able to slide right in between the fence blocks and the frame. Now you're probably asking yourself, Jason, how do you know that this is perfect? Let's use this. I just want to prove to you that everything is where it should be. So, but distance between these 2 blocks, I'm 7/1000 of an inch short of 20. This other dimension, we're within 4/1000 of an inch. How awesome is that? That's way more accurate than I can do with a tape measure setting these things up. If you have any questions about table fixture setups, go to our new forum. We host and answer every topic we can, spanning from big machinery to video animations. It's a great place to leave your comments on this video, and for me to answer your questions directly. And it's easily searchable too. Check out fireballtool.com. The next thing we need to measure is flatness. This is one of the things that gets overlooked the most, and it can quickly mess up a part. From my experience, the more welding you do, or the complexity of the part, this is the hardest dimension to maintain. Without the right tools, this can be hard to measure or identify. I've called out for a 1/16 of an inch tolerance on this frame, which is tight, but it's definitely doable. I'm going to be using my Starrett granite surface plate to measure this warp. It's going to help you and I identify if there's any problems with this frame. And the last thing I'm looking for is a pair, which means I need 2 matching frames. If one of them's wrong, it's an instant fail. We're going to be keeping track of all the fab shops with this simple chart. We're going to be looking for the flatness and the dimensions to see if they pass or fail. So I finally have all the squares here. That was quite a long wait. Let's take a look at Fab Shop A. It took about a month to get the job done. It took him about 5 hours to make these 2 frames, but it also cost me the most at $594.86. There's already a problem. It is quite obvious. So this is supposed to be steel, but it is obviously not. And I'm going to take responsibility for this because I did not specify on the drawing what material this is supposed to be. But this isn't going to hurt us. It doesn't matter what material we're building it out of. This just cost me more money than I wanted to pay. So let's put it in here and see what happens. What I'm just basically checking for is the dimensions. Really, it doesn't even fit. There could be 2 problems with that. One, it's not square. The second is the dimensions aren't right. Yeah, we're definitely oversized by quite a bit. 20 inches, 321 thousandths. This is supposed to be 20 1/4 maximum. This side's right on the money at exactly 20, but because it's too long one dimension, it won't even fit. That one's a fail. Let's test the second one. Very, very disappointing because I paid the most for these 2 squares and they don't even match. Let's walk over to the surface plate and see how flat they are. I'm gonna say it first. Putting these squares on a granite surface plate is extreme, but this is the only way that you guys can know that I'm not cheating in any way. So what I'm looking for is a 1/16 of an inch in tolerance. Let's just do the rock test. Wow. So my tolerance is 1/16 of an inch. Obviously. We'll add another 32nd. It still slips underneath there. Pretty warped. So the one thing I've noticed is on my drawing, I also called out for one side to be ground flat and leave the welds on the other. And this is not what I called out for. I have ground surfaces on both sides. Big failure on those. Now let's take a look at Fab Shop B. The first thing that I noticed is the material. It's a little rusty, but it was cheap at only $150. They also made it in a reasonable time frame, in about 2 weeks. Ooh. What's in there? Let's put it in the box, see how it fits. Okay, so that's a good sign. We fit within our parameters, or at least we're under the maximum. The shim I've been using to test these frames is from the Fireball shim kit, and I've got both of them in imperial and metric sizes, available on the website, fireballtool.com. 1/16 of an inch shim fits in between there. It's awfully tight right there. It's hard stopped. This way is so sloppy. Let's test the second one. So we're not square. Nope, undersized, undersized. That side's okay, that side's okay, but we're off over there. Failure on size. Just like frames from Shop A, these frames have both sides ground down. And this is not what I called out for. I have ground surfaces on both sides. Yikes. There is a tolerance. It can be warped. I just asked for a 1/16 of an inch and that obviously doesn't pass. Whoops. Let's test this one. This one's a little bit flatter. Where is it teetering? Teetering over there. Okay. So this one does pass the flatness test, barely, but it doesn't meet my size. So instant fail. Both squares are not made the same, which is also disappointing. One passes flatness, one doesn't. That's strange. Next up is Fab Shop C. It took them about 2 weeks to get it to me. On the bill it said 2 hours, and they charged me a price of $314. First thing I'm noticing is that we have welds on the outside, which is great. And we have a smooth bottom, which is exactly what I called for on the drawings. So that's a good thing. Okay. That's okay. That's okay, but that's a fail. Definitely the closest by far. Oh, no, don't know what to say. Kind of hard to argue with. Of the falling shim, the dreaded. So this one is a fail. Let's go check flatness. Okay, this one's This one's fairly flat. I can already tell that this one's gonna be a pass. Yes. So these two pass for flatness, but they fail in size. So once again, they didn't build me what I asked. So all 6 squares are completely different, and none of them pass the simple building of the box test. So I have an idea. Let's add one more twist to this experiment. So we just saw experience try to build me this frame with a lot of failure. But what happens if we flip it? Hire somebody with very little experience, but give them the best tool. This is Drew, the animator here at Fireball Tool. Instead of a welder, his preferred tool is the pen. I asked him if he'd try to help me make this frame. With very little experience, he's perfect for this experiment.
I did work on a dairy for a time. They had me cut a bunch of bars for a cattle barn, and that was a lot of note taking and a lot of incorrectly cut pipe. Good thing I draw pictures now, because that's a little less high stakes.
I gave Drew the same drawing as the others with very little explanation. In order to make it fair, I stayed far away and didn't help him. Drew's knowledge of how to use a fixture table was very small, and only watching my fixture how-to videos that I make. I believe this leaves Drew at a big disadvantage compared to the professionals.
Now, I don't think I have a single other 20 that's gonna fit in here. Yeah, this guy needs a little trimming.
What I found interesting watching this footage is that I noticed that Drew was using the table to help identify problems, just like I stated in the original video.
That looks perfect. No, this is only my 4th or 5th time welding, and I've never done it well. So this will be cool.
Once he had everything very well clamped, I noticed that he had the confidence to start his welding.
Ooh, look at that. That's a weld.
It's pretty fun watching Drew put this simple square together. I could tell that he had an extra level of confidence that he probably wouldn't have otherwise. Besides for his welding skill, I'm pretty sure he's happy with the way this thing turned out.
I did my best.
Okay, well that's all I can ask for. I'm gonna put him up against the rest and we'll see how good you did. Okay, so first thing noticing with Drew's stuff, you could tell that he's a beginning welder. And that's okay, because I'm not judging on welds. I don't care what their welds look like. I just want the part to be what I ordered. I timed Drew on how long it took him to build these 2 squares, and it took him about 4 hours. And most of that was actually saw cutting, believe it or not. If this was my job and I was going to charge for it, I'd charge a 2-hour minimum with about $100 of material, so that would put me around $350. Okay, so let's take a look and see how he did. I can tell you this is by far the best fitting square in here. Go to the 32nd of an inch. 32nd doesn't fit, 32nd doesn't fit, that doesn't fit, and that does not fit. I'm curious, I'm gonna put the caliper on it. He's within 15 thousandths of an inch. This way he's within 25 thousandths. Pretty good, Drew. Nice, it's exactly what I ordered. Let's check the other one because I need a match. Does not fit. I hold that down, it doesn't fit. Doesn't fit. 16th does not fit anywhere in between these stops. This one is almost identical to the other one. So 2 identical dimensions within a couple thousandths of an inch? Seriously? We're talking like milling machine here. It gave me exactly what I wanted. Overall, the fitment is killer. He smoked the pros. Literally put them to shame. All right, Drew, I can already tell. Wow, you hear that? I hear nothing. It's absolutely silent. Dang. Nice work. And this one is identical. Has no teeter-totter rock. Can't see daylight under any of it. Very, very, very good. He gave me exactly what I wanted. As a beginning fabricator, you can create awesome weldments, and making good welds just comes with practice. This is a really interesting experiment. By no means am I trying to put anybody out of place, trying to make anybody uncomfortable. I think there's some awareness that needs to be presented, and hopefully this exercise showcases that. So why was Drew able to succeed when the pros failed? First, he had an accurate measuring tool with the fixtures and stops. The second thing is that his table is actually flat. Third, he had a way to clamp the work so that it didn't move when he welded it. And fourth thing, he had the tool to check his work when he was done to make sure it was correct. And there's nothing worse than having the customer do your checking for you. I paid full price for all of these squares, and I didn't get what I asked for when I was assured that I was going to be. What do? Do I take these squares back to them and ask them for a refund? Do I take them back and ask them to fix it? Do I not say anything at all and just never go back to that fab shop ever again? That's a tough decision. So I'm not surprised that Drew's turned out amazing as far as fitment goes, because he has a tool to help him with that. It's very apparent that the other 3 fab shops know how to weld, but their fitting is poor. What I'm also saying here is skill doesn't have anything to do with producing a good product. Somebody with no skill can give me something that I asked for. These guys have years of experience and I still didn't get what I wanted. I believe that if you have a fixture table in your shop, you're gonna be able to work faster with your accelerated skill level. You're gonna be able to check your work, and then the customer is ultimately the one that's gonna be the happiest. I will never go back to a big warped plate steel table ever again, because it makes me look bad as the welder when I know my skill set is way up here, but I have the tools that don't allow me to be where I wanna be. The times are changing too, guys. This is the new standard. Fixture tables are the way of the future. You're gonna get left behind if you don't adapt to this. It's just the way it goes. The fab shop next door is gonna get a fixture table and all the business is gonna go over there. I think you should be advertising across the top of the building. We build on fixture tables. People are gonna come to you. So imagine investing in this table and seeing the reactions of your customers' faces when you produce high quality products. Think of the confidence that you're gonna have when that part goes out the door, that it's not gonna come back. I think there's some value there that a lot of people don't think about. So if you're ready to take your fabrication skills to the next level and would like to check out a new table, please visit fireballtool.com. And of course, all the fixtures and clamps to go along with it, and an awesome video section to show you how to use the tools also. If you'd like to support my small growing tool company, please purchase a t-shirt. This helps me make the tools and the videos to make your job easier. Please contact us if you're interested in upping your fabrication game, and I'd love to help you guys. So until then, I'll see you guys on the next one.